in the last 50 years especially, rural ministry and ministry in small towns and kind of smaller places has really not registered very high in importance, it seems, at least for major publishing houses and even seminaries. It just kind of was overlooked. And so we wanted to say, this really matters and we need to pay special attention to it. So the PRM is a Lilly-funded project here at Grove City College that focuses on helping pastors in our region and basically encouraging them, helping them thrive. And we do that for pastors from southwestern New York all the way down western Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, even into northern West Virginia.
And so what we want to do is we want to champion rurality. We want to champion our pastors. We want to champion these unique towns and these unique counties that have their own varied history and their own stories. And we want to learn from them, but we then also want to enter into those communities. We don't, as a college in particular, we don't want to sort of silo ourselves off. The hope is that there will be much more integration, communication, and a synergy between these churches and these places and these pastors and who we are as a community as well. The way in which the PRM can benefit pastors is by partnering with them and sharing the abundance of resources that we as a institution of higher learning have. We want students to go out into these communities to do internships, to do church placements, to be mentored by pastors. That's one of the huge mutual benefits of the PRM, is that not only are we learning from pastors, but the pastors can shape and transform our students, because they're the ones that have the real experience on the ground. But in turn, we can also help churches with the resources that we have. So it really is a mutually beneficial relationship.
The programming I'm most excited about actually connects students with pastors in small rural congregations and small towns. Things like we have service learning projects, which that's basically when a professor and his or her class do something for a church that meets the course objectives and meets the needs of the church. So for instance, we had an entrepreneurship class redesign a church website, or a graphic design class, a professor and his students worked with the pastor to redesign their logo. We heard during COVID that tech was a big problem, so we were able to free up some money for micro grants for tech, and so pastors would get cameras or computers, things like that. We've been able to help some pastors get time with a counselor if they needed it through a tough stretch. It's been so tough after COVID, so we've been able to kind of make those things happen, which has been really great. I'm really glad to be part of the PRM because, I spent almost my entire life in rural western Pennsylvania. Attended a rural church growing up and was on staff in a rural church and always cared about rural ministry. But when I was in seminary, I kept asking myself, where are the people that people my memories in any of these books or in any of these strategies for church planting? I kind of have this deep desire to be part of helping rural areas and being part of just encouraging pastors in those areas, because these areas are so much a part of my story, and I just want to shine a light on them.
One of my great joys as the executive director has been to travel to each of these sites where our pastors are ministering. And it has been just truly humbling, and it has been such an encouragement to me to know that there are pastors who are faithful, I can read about some of the travails and struggles of former coal communities, but it's nothing like going and seeing it with your own eyes. The hope is that the PRM will be a long-term venture, that we will continue to develop really strong networks with local pastors in the region, with local communities, all the various unique communities out there. There are so many ways in which we're excited to see how churches and pastors and college can all sort of work together for the gospel and for this region.